Hail to the king, baby.
Have you ever looked up to the sky in a video game or off in the distance while exploring and saw a beautiful skybox that just complemented everything around you? I know you have, because I think pretty much everyone has looked up to the sky in a game, looked off at the distance and looked at the details in the world around you. And skyboxes have been quite an important element since the early days of 3D with Ocarina of Time and even games that faked 3D with like Duke Nukem. Skyboxes aren't quite the same anymore due to many AAA games finding ways to create much more dynamic and realistically functioning skies in games. But a skybox deserves praise when done well, and their impact on your immersive gaming experience is stronger than you might think. Look at the beauty provided in the sky of The Witcher 3, or the peaceful nature of Fallout New Vegas' sky in such a harsh world. Think about how well it sets a tone in Evil West or Batman Arkham Asylum. Take away those skyboxes and the game wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't feel quite right, now would it? Just like if you remove the score, or the environmental detail, or the world building, or the story, or the voice acting, it just wouldn't be the same game. Red Dead Redemption 2's world is only strengthened by the beauty of its skies, similar to how the cold emptiness of space in Prey provides a sense of dread. Now that we know we're discussing skyboxes, let's hop into the Black on Black and ride into the wastes for an adventure into the world of Mad Max, where we will discuss what I think is the best skybox in all of gaming. Mad Max is a very overlooked game with one of the most beautifully desolate worlds in any game. The skybox, among other things like the world detail and visceral combat, truly help to define the game and its world. So the big question now is, why do I think this game has the best skybox ever? Well, to put it simply before deep diving into it, Mad Max's skybox during the day or the night complements the world. The way the skybox changes due to the weather and time of day adds this gritty cinematic feel to your adventure. So let's dig deep, shall we? And to do that, I feel we're going to have to touch quite heavily on other elements of the game with a focus on the skybox, of course. So this video is all about the perfection of the game's skybox, but to explain that, we have to talk about what makes Mad Max itself a perfect game, in my eyes. The aforementioned cinematic feel the skybox provides is supplemented by the gritty and cinematic nature of the game's overall design. The way cars explode and fly into the air, the super vibrant and gritty feel of the oil and fire that spans the entire game world. From the start of the game all the way until the final credits, the game is as post-apocalyptic as you can get, with a mix of the classic film series world and vibes, combined with Fury Road's bombastic nature and use of color throughout. The grounded and brutal stylistic take on the Arkham series combat feels so damn good, and looks even better. And the game has some of the best car combat in any video game I have ever played. And I mean that genuinely. It's just so brutal and Michael Bay-esque, right? Just explosions and oil and fire and just grit all the time. It's beautiful in a weird, messed up kind of way. So you take that and mix it into this hauntingly beautiful world that makes you feel as alone as you can, even with your trusty companion Chumbucket by your side throughout most of the game. And with that, you get a final result of pure perfection in every way. The biggest flaw in the game is its Ubisoft-esque nature towards side objectives. Yeah, I know. Everyone hates Ubisoft and their whole design philosophy, but I mean, it works and a lot of games have used it. And a lot of games have implemented it better than Ubisoft themselves, and I think Avalanche did a much better job implementing this design philosophy into their game, even though it still has a similar problem of potentially becoming tedious and boring the longer you play the game, especially if you're already tired of that same formula. That being said, at least they feel more natural being in the world. They don't seem out of place or thrown around just to give you something to do. It feels real. It feels like they should be there, and it was designed with it in mind. You come across random encounters with people needing water or maybe offering up intel to help you out, which adds an element of life into this lifeless world, and sometimes can give you an edge on an outpost or maybe another way to sneak in or something like that. The hub locations in each region and the many scavenging locations and their respective collectibles add another layer of life on top of that. The collectibles show small glimpses into the old world through photos and show how seemingly peaceful it must have been by comparison. You find scrap around the world in these scavenging locations, and you use that to build your car, the magnum opus, and further upgrade yourself as well as those hub locations. And those hub locations actually kind of change as you upgrade them in a similar way to something like Far Cry Primal's main base or Assassin's Creed 2's villa. And more people are there, the overall look and feel of it changes, but it's nothing crazy important. It does change the look and it feels like you're, doing something. So while you're doing all these things and inching yourself ever closer to getting your interceptor back and reaching the plains of silence, you're always getting a full view of the sky and all of its mystical beauty. The one thing other than the environment you will see constantly that adds such a powerful element of beauty and life in this barren landscape full of pain and terror. The clouds, the storms, and the lighting involved in the skybox makes the world and all things within it that much more detailed and perfectly crafted. Perfect game deserves a perfect skybox and a well-crafted world. Mad Max has all of that in spades, and a decent story to top it off. A story of revenge and sadness, because in the end, Max will forever be alone to wander the wastes with nowhere to call home. But it's all about the world and what you do within it, and how that skybox sets a tone all the way through and supplements the world around it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please drop me a like and a sub. Maybe even leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the game and what your favorite post-apocalyptic movie or game is. So I hope to see you next time. Please have a great day. See you later.
It's hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.